Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the second shelf and to another installment of my ManBookering videos, in which I review the 6 books longlisted in the ManBooker written by female authors. I've done already a review video of the 2 debut novels, History of Wolves and Elmet. If you're interested, I'll leave a link to that video down below. And today I want to talk about the 2 Smithes, Ellie Smith and Sadie Smith, and their novels Autumn and Swingtime, respectively. So first up is Autumn by Ellie Smith, published last year, 2016. In the autumn, it's the first of a series of seasonal books. So winter, spring, and summer are coming, but each book is a standalone novel. So it's not a series in the sense that it develops over 4, or plot or whatever develops over 4 books. This book is often referred to as a Brexit novel. And it's true, it is set just after the Brexit vote in Britain. And it also deals with the issue of Brexit and the vote. But it's not a book about that, and certainly not only about that. For the biggest part, it's a book about a very uncommon friendship between Daniel, who is at the time when the Brexit vote happened, 101, and in a nursing home, dying, asleep most of the time, and a much younger woman, Elizabeth, who now, she's born in 1984, so she's now in her 30s, but when they met, Elizabeth was 7 or 8, and Daniel was in his late 70s. So we learn about, first of all, their friendship, which is unusual, between a very young girl and an old man, how the mother, for instance, Elizabeth's mother, reacts to it. And the book, I think, is a book of ideas, a book about the current state of affairs in Britain and how Britain developed from the 60s and the 80s when Elizabeth was born up to now. And it's written in a very lyrical, poetical, typical Ellie Smith style, non-linear. And the fact that I really love the book so much, even though it doesn't have that much plot, speaks to the high quality of the writing and the ideas that are developed there. We learn the friendship between Daniel and Elizabeth develops around the theme of being different. Elizabeth is very intelligent and she is a different, quote unquote, kind of child. And Daniel shows her a way of being different by, for instance, introducing her to art. And one artist in particular, Pauline Botti, who was a very well-known pop artist in the 60s, early 70s. And she died very young when she was 28 from cancer, and then she was completely forgotten and written out of the pop art history of Britain. Her works, most of her works were lost or hidden, and she was only rediscovered in the 80s. So just around the time when Elizabeth was born. So you have a lot of contemplations about art, about memory, about the passage of time and what we do with time, the current state of affairs, as I mentioned, when we have these rather satirical anecdotes when Elizabeth, for instance, goes to the post office, or not the post office, but an official office, because she has to have her passport reissued, and how bureaucracy works. So it's a book not centered around a plot, but around certain ideas and themes. And the writing, I thought, was brilliant. There are dream sequences when Daniel is, dreaming about being dead and on a beach shore. And that is so powerful. The writing is so powerful, and the ideas that Ellie Smith conveys are so powerful. that even for a plot-driven reader like me, it didn't matter that there was so little plot. And I think you have to approach the novel not expecting too much of a plot, and reading it slowly, because it contains so much, and it contains so many ideas, in the sense, these books, when you read them and you read a passage and then you really have to stop, because you not only have to think about what you read, but there are so many associations that you have yourself when you read that passage. And you think about that, and you think about art or friendship. So I thought it was really, I'm not explaining that very well, but just give it a try, and you won't be disappointed. I can almost promise that you won't be disappointed. So I thought Autumn was a brilliant book, certainly a book that should be on the shortlist, and a possible winner in my view. Then on to the other one of the Smiths, Sadie Smith, and her book Swing Time, which was also published in 2016. Now this is a different story, at least for me, but let me explain first. Sadie Smith is one of these authors that I am determined to love. I think she is brilliant and intelligent. I love her essays, and when she gives an interview, I'm like glued to the screen to watch it. And her books, her stories, they just never do it for me. Ever. I don't know why. And unfortunately, Swing Time was no exception, so I didn't think it was a good book. It's also about a friendship in the now, and developing into the past, when the two girls, it's about a friendship between two brown girls, as it is said in the book, Tracy and the unnamed narrator. And they meet when they're young, and they meet in school, and they develop a friendship. And Tracy is from a difficult home. The father is a criminal, and he pops in and out of the home between jail time. And both girls, Tracy and the narrator, love to dance. And Tracy is very talented. She's a very talented dancer, whereas our narrator has ideas about dancing, but is not as talented. The friendship then develops over the course of the years until the now, when both women are in their 30s. The book springs back and jumps back and forth in time, but I thought the strongest part of the book was the beginning, when Tracy and the narrator meet, and when their friendship develops as children. That I really loved. The first 50 or 70 pages I thought were really good. And then all of a sudden we jump into the future, when our narrator works for pop star, singer, artist called Amy. Which in my view is closely, has some, at least, aspects of Madonna. And the narrator works as a sort of a personal assistant, and then this Amy character goes to Africa to do some human relief work there, and she adopts children. So there is a lot of current political topics and themes in the book, about race, and about the celebrity culture, also about black music, swing time. We learn about that, and that's not uninteresting, but somehow the book completely lost me in a mess of rather boring developments after our narrator starts to work for Amy. Still, the interesting parts in the later part of the book were the friendship and how the fallout between Tracy and our narrator, and why that happened. And how Tracy's career as a dancer developed or didn't develop. But after the first 70 pages, I was just thoroughly bored. And I thought that the way Amy was pictured, the pop star, that was very cliche, and the view on African relief organizations. And I don't know, you read about that in more interesting ways in nonfiction. So I don't know. Yeah, the book just didn't work for me at all. But like I said, that always happens with me and Sadie Smith's books. So I might not be the best judge of the book. Maybe if you are into Sadie Smith, if you like her previous books, you should probably check out, some Goodreads reviews, because there are definitely people out there who really liked the book or even loved it. But I thought it was boring and messy, and not very well written, unfortunately. So my final judgment is that I wouldn't shortlist the book, certainly not, and for me it's certainly not a winner. So this was my take on the two ladies Smith, Ali Smith and Sadie Smith, and their books Autumn and Swingtime. Let me know down in the comments whether you read any of the two books and what you think of them or other works by Ali Smith or Sadie Smith. And I will do my last video on the last two long-listed books by female authors within the next couple of days, because the shortlist will be announced on Wednesday the 13th. So this was it. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you all soon in my next video. Bye bye.